A nationwide measles outbreak has now reached Pennsylvania. We talk with doctors in our area about the controversy over measles vaccines.
And some restaurants across the country are ditching tips and opting for a more stable salary for their servers. But will businesses here follow suit? The Center County Report starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Megan Caffrey.
And I'm Colin Bradley. A measles outbreak that's been spreading across the nation has arrived in Pennsylvania, and with it, a controversy over the vaccination. Some are questioning whether it's safe and effective. Reporter Corinne Jones has more.
The CDC says a case of the measles in central Pennsylvania near Shippensburg is one of more than 100 cases that's popped up across 14 states so far this year. Experts say more families are choosing to not vaccinate their kids, and that's leading to a dangerous outbreak.
This is a vaccine preventable disease that there is no treatment for, no cure for. And it does have some morbidity and mortality. It does make people less sick, and some people it kills.
In fact, Pennsylvania has the second highest number of unvaccinated kindergartners in the nation at 14.7%. Mississippi, on the other hand, has a vaccination rate of more than 99%. This outbreak has sparked a controversial debate over whether or not the vaccine is needed. Doctors in Center County say the pros outweigh the cons.
It is very important. It's very safe. It is incredibly effective. And vaccination is the key way that we prevent the spread of diseases.
Almost all doctors agree that the best way to protect your family is by getting vaccinated, but there are other options to keep your children healthy.
The key is to have a healthy immune system, and the things that contribute to that have to do with your diet and nutritional intake. So for children especially, sugar is the number one enemy, because every time they eat sugar, their immune activity is actually suppressed for 4 hours.
Some believe the measles vaccine may be a trigger for autism, but doctors we talked with say they hope families will look at the facts.
I hope that people will look at the real data and look at the CDC recommendations and the Pennsylvania Health Department's recommendations that the vaccine is indeed safe and is helpful for everyone.
For the Center County Report, I'm Corinne Jones.
Most of the new measles cases began with an outbreak at Disneyland in California last month.
Along with the measles, doctors are watching the flu. The latest CDC report shows widespread flu in Pennsylvania. But as many people get their flu shot, some are worried about its effectiveness this year. Tariq Rashid reports.
Flu season comes every year with a host of the same symptoms: cough, fever, and fatigue, to name a few. However, this winter, influenza hit the U.S. harder than years past. Things became problematic this year when a strain of the flu virus called H3N2 mutated. This rendered the vaccine less effective. The CDC counted a total of 56 pediatric deaths this flu season. Many of these deaths have been attributed to the mutated strain. The flu has even caught the eye of some young adults. College student Chris Brown voiced concern about the virus.
I feel slightly concerned, seeing as though we're on a college campus. It's about 50,000 plus people, so the flu is kind of easily transmitted through different people.
Marlene Stetson, a nurse at Mount Nittany Medical Center, highlighted why children have such a tough time fending off influenza.
Their immune systems really haven't been exposed to the kinds of viruses that after 20 or 30 or 40 years of age you've been exposed to over your lifetime. So their immune systems are kind of naive.
Stetson also explained the flu's dangerous path this season.
The time when they manufactured the vaccine, shortly after that, they became aware that the virus, that strain, the H3N2 strain, had mutated. It had changed enough that they knew that the efficacy, the effectiveness of that vaccine would be less than perfect or less than optimal.
Still, healthcare professionals highlight the vaccine as your best defense.
It is actually the best tool that we have to prevent the flu. Even in those less than perfect years, there is still benefit to getting vaccinated. This year, for example, we believe there's some cross protection, even though it's not perfect with the H3N2 virus strain.
In University Park, I'm Tariq Rashid for the Center County Report.
It may seem like common sense, but doctors and nurses are stressing washing your hands, covering your mouth when coughing or sneezing, and staying home if you feel sick.
And investigators are still looking into the exact cause of a fire that gutted a gas station and auto shop in State College this week. 5 local fire stations spent Tuesday battling the fire that started in the Justice Brothers shop at Atherton and Hamilton Streets. They believe it started while employees worked on a car. The fire then spread to an office building next door. Everyone got out and nobody was hurt, but it did cause extensive damage.
Harris Township Supervisor Christopher Lee is officially stepping down from his positions as Township Supervisor and Executive Director of the Bull Mansion Museum. The Township Manager confirmed Lee's letter of resignation this week, 4 months after Lee's indictment on charges of child pornography and child exploitation. Lee's in prison awaiting trial in April. The Board of Supervisors will meet on Monday to formally accept the resignation, and they'll have 30 days to appoint a temporary replacement.
Tired of the long waits to catch a taxi? Well, you're in luck. The popular car service Uber makes its debut in State College this weekend. Uber is similar to a taxi service, but uses smartphone apps so customers can request rides. The company is now licensed to operate anywhere in Pennsylvania except Philadelphia. Uber now operates in 200 cities worldwide. Some taxi drivers told us while Uber is competition for them, it may also help alleviate some of the peak hours during the weekends. And State College taxpayers may get a break as construction starts on the new State High renovation project. Reporter Taylor Bisacki says it looks like the tax hike to pay for it may actually be less than expected.
The Little Lions will see some big changes this year, and so will State High. The school has been standing since the 1950s, and now voters and school board members have decided it's time for change.
We are investing in our community for the next few generations. The building that previous generations had paid for, that building is no longer what our community needs for a high school. It had outlived its usefulness.
Students crossing Westerly Parkway in between classes, a leaky roof, and an outdated building are all cited as student safety concerns.
We get a lot of floods, and it's hectic walking across the street. And snow, I almost fell today.
But this $115 million renovation project aims to change that. It includes keeping students, for the most part, in the South Building. Taxes will go up to help cover $85 million in project costs. These documents show the different renovation options that the board reviewed on Monday. They went with a 25-year plan, which actually has a lower term and lower monthly cost than originally expected. Through this option, taxpayers can expect to pay about $118 this year and $173 next year, with interest only in year one. The project plans to break ground this summer.
We've looked pretty carefully at how to phase the construction so that it has the least possible impact on students who are on that campus.
When students come back in the fall, construction will continue, but the campus will have walkways to get around these zones. As for the school's neighbors, they can expect more traffic.
But ultimately, the plan is to build the best building that we possibly can for the next few generations. At this point, it's not our project, it's really the community's project.
Reporting in State College for the Center County Report, I'm Taylor Bisacki.
And the board will now approve the project's 60% review in late April instead of March, but the plan does remain on schedule.
Some families in State College may be forced to look for new homes after their leases end in a few months. Reporter Samantha Corza tells you why.
Blue Course Commons, formerly Pheasant Glen, was an apartment complex designed specifically to meet the affordable housing needs of residents in State College. With more than 90 units, families were able to rent townhouses and base their rent costs off their income. But after an ownership change, the complex is now college student housing. While families are not being forced to move, they are required to pay a much higher rent when their lease ends. That's tough on residents like Dikla Gish.
And thinking of raising it, it won't give other family in the future this opportunity that we got, and that will be a shame.
More than 10 families in Pheasant Glen reside with Section 8 housing vouchers, and while most families are understanding of the changes that are happening to the property, others fear that there are very limited alternative housing options. Since 2012, State College has lost more than 300 affordable housing units. Ron Quinn, Executive Director of Housing Transitions Incorporated, hopes families who can't afford to stay at Blue Course Commons will be able to find new homes.
Is that we have experience, unfortunately, in this community with families who have been displaced. And the county has put together a team of people, including our agency and several other agencies, to assist in helping those folks relocate.
Quinn hopes families that are forced to move will be able to find housing reasonably close to where they live now. For the Center County Report, I'm Samantha Corza.
We called the Blue Course Commons property manager, but she refused to comment.
A Pittsburgh classic has settled in State College, and so far, it's been a success. Permane Brothers opened here a few weeks ago. The manager says Permane's has had its eye on Happy Valley here for a long time. He hopes his team and their signature sandwiches can gain enough fans to make it a staple in downtown State College for years to come.
More restaurants in Pennsylvania are changing to a new way of paying waiters and waitresses, giving them a salary and moving away from tipping. It's happening in Philly and Pittsburgh. Reporter Samantha Lands got some opinions on the idea in State College.
Restaurants nationwide are beginning to do away with tips and instead paying their servers a yearly salary. But here at Baby's Diner, where tradition is everything and the past is king, they say they aren't changing a thing.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't expect my owners to do it. Because then you have to walk into the whole situation of, do you have to offer health insurance? And when you don't even offer that to the management, what do?
Some restaurant owners making the change are paying servers $35,000 a year plus benefits. They hope it will result in less turnover and a more livable wage for employees.
Hi guys, how are we doing today?
Baby's employee Josh Glosner relies on the tips he makes to pay back his student loans. He doesn't think a salary without tips can compare to the cash he brings home after a shift.
Obviously, a salary has its benefits with, a stability and a weekly pay, but, you can make well over that with tipping.
However, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median hourly wage for a server nationwide is $8.92 an hour, which adds up to a salary of $18,540 a year. This is much lower than the $35,000 a year that some restaurants are paying without tips.
I know for a fact that those kids walk out of here with a $20 an hour. I mean, I do the payroll every week. I know what they declare, and they only have to declare the 15%.
Some say that salaried servers might forget the importance of good old-fashioned customer service. In State College, I'm Samantha Lance for the Center County Report.
Some restaurants that change the salary structure raise prices or add customer service charges to the offset of the cost.
I don't know how I feel about that. I like the incentive of working for tips.
I know, waitressing was my first job.
Well, Punxsutawney Phil predicted 6 more weeks of winter, so do we have more snow on the way?
The forecast is coming up. And travel back in time to 1940 New Orleans through the eyes of local civil rights activists.
Penn State is investigating 2 reported sexual assaults this week. One happened sometime between Friday and Monday at the Phi Sigma Kappa frat house. Police say the alleged victim knows the suspect, but the IFC tells us that the frat is suspended while the investigation goes on. The second incident happened at East Halls. A female reported someone assaulted her twice during the nighttime hours.
February is Black History Month, and reporter Elena Hafner talks with a State College man who made a difference in the South. At 92 years old, Albert Stevenson is able to look back on both a college degree and a career that helped pave the way for African Americans in his hometown of New Orleans.
You can't always demand respect unless you give it. And I always did that. And it wasn't easy. I had some run-ins because they weren't used to a black person telling a white person what to do. A friend of mine who owned Louisiana Weekly in New Orleans, he just told me, he said, Al, we need some black in City Hall.
After 35 years working for the Bureau of New Orleans enforcing transportation guidelines that became the standard in the South, Councilwoman Taylor approached Mr. Stevenson about a new business opportunity.
She said, Albert, I like you. She said, because you're very frank. And I like the way you approach things. And I'd like to recommend an appointment for you on the aviation board. She said, because I know you won't bite your tongue at all. You say what is. It didn't stress me at all because I figured I could cope, and I did. Such is the fact, and I'm still coping better, much better now.
For the Center County Report, I'm Elena Hafner.
Stevenson and his wife moved to State College in 2005 after Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans.
It was a cold start to the day today with temperatures dipped down to a mere 3 degrees here in Centre County. But as you'll see here on the temperature map, temperatures have already started to be on the increase as we head on into the early afternoon, with temperatures in the lower 20s, and those will start to pick up to the mid 20s by later on this afternoon. Temperatures across the state, again, mainly in the 20s, but we do see a few locations, especially in the north and northeast, where temperatures are still in the teens, and that's actually due to an Arctic air mass that's moving in to the northern portions of the state. But luckily, that'll keep to our north and won't affect us temperature-wise at all. But then as we head over to the wind chill map, it's still a thing to note because we are still seeing a few wind chills in the negatives. So a few degrees below zero, Scranton sitting at a wind chill of 1. So that is still a thing to note because it is still pretty chilly. As we take a quick look at the satellite and radar, a few snow bands are making their way into the northeast, but that's not going to affect us. That's going to keep to our north. The main event here is going to be those clouds. That's going to be the story today into tomorrow, as that's what's going to keep our temperatures where they are for pretty much the rest of the day today, and they won't dip too much below 20. So we are going to see lows in the upper teens around 20 degrees tonight. But the futurecast is showing again those clouds are going to start filtering in later on today, and those are going to continue to be part of the story today into tomorrow. Again, those snow showers in the north won't affect us, but we could see a few flurries today into tomorrow, but again, nothing by means of accumulation. But your forecast for the next 24 hours, again, won't be nearly as bitter as it was last night, as temperatures are going to be in the upper teens, mostly cloudy skies, so we'll keep temperatures relatively moderate. But then as we head on to Saturday, we do have pretty warm air that's going to be ushering in from the southwest, and that's going to bring temperatures quite a bit above freezing. For your week ahead, again, pretty nice for Saturday rather into Sunday, but we could see a bit of rain late Sunday into Monday with a mix. But then as we head on into later week, we are going to see temperatures dip back down to where they were earlier this week.
I do have to say, I'm pretty excited for it not to be so bitter cold this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be a nice relief, that's for sure.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some of that ice melted, make it a little more safe out on those streets. Thank you.
6 more weeks of winter could mean plenty more fun for those who enjoy the outdoors. But did you know some cities are looking to ban some activities like sledding? Cities in Iowa, New Jersey, Nebraska, and Indiana have restricted or banned sledding to try to cut back on the number of sledding-related hospital visits each year. Ron Woodhead of Center Region Parks and Recreation acknowledges the risks, but says it should be up to the community to make those decisions.
I think it's real dangerous to say just because they're doing it, we should do whatever. But if we notice that there's more injuries or we need more additional signage, the beauty of Parks and Recreation is we can make that happen. We're local.
Woodhead suggests parents go with their kids and consider having them wear helmets while sledding to cut down on the risk of injury.
I'm Josiah Bates. Coming up in sports, we'll take a look at 2 athletes who are helping Penn State track team get off to a good start. And more coverage on Nittany Lion football signing day and the best recruiting class in recent memory. Good afternoon. Penn State's football season is almost 7 months away, but James Franklin and his staff are grabbing national attention with their first full recruiting class. I got Franklin's thought on the upcoming class on National Signing Day.
Coming off a winning season in his first year, James Franklin and his staff welcomed 25 new members to the Penn State football family. The class included 12 offensive players and 13 defensive players. 8 states, plus Washington, D.C. were represented. James Franklin was also able to sign 11 players from Pennsylvania, the most since 2004.
That's something that we take great pride in. We take great pride in the state of Pennsylvania. We take great pride in this region. We have tremendous respect for the teachers in this state and the teachers in this region, and in preparing our guys and getting them ready to come to Penn State and be successful academically.
Penn State's entire class was rated 3 stars or higher for the first time since 2002, when rivals began. This includes 8 unanimous 4-star recruits.
22 of the guys that we recruited were captains of their high school football team, 3 state champions, 3 Under Armour All-Americans, 2 Army All-Americans.
With the second overall recruiting class in the Big Ten and one of the top recruiting classes in the nation, James Franklin and his team will be more than ready to run through these gates come September.
For the second consecutive year, James Franklin held the signature event to introduce the recruits to the fans. Fans filed into Rec Hall,
where they were able to see James Franklin show highlights of the new recruits. Fans will get a glimpse of the future on April 18th at 4 p.m. when Penn State hosts its annual blue and white spring football game. In University Park, I'm Josiah Bates for the Center County Report. To basketball now. Coquise Washington's Lady Lions team took on the 5th-ranked Maryland Terrapins last night. Before the game even started, Coquise received high praise from the NCAA's Vice President of Women's Basketball Championships, Anuka Brown-Sanders.
Because I think you have the best coach in the history of the game with Coquise. She is a phenom and is really a perfect, just a joy and a gift to our game.
Maryland used a 23-1 run late in the first half to shut down any hopes Penn State had of an upset. The Terrapins would go on to win 77-62. After the loss, Coquise says she's hoping for more consistency out of her team.
We didn't have the level of consistency that we've had these past few games, with the attention to detail and the attention to execution that we need to have to, to be competitive and be in the games and give ourselves a chance to win down the stretch of the games.
The Lady Lions will be back in action Sunday when they travel to Purdue. Although the Lady Lions couldn't take down number 5 Maryland, it's a big weekend for other Penn State teams. Men's basketball is looking to rebound after a loss to Maryland. They'll host Nebraska tomorrow in the Bryce Jordan Center. Penn State men's hockey has a series at home this weekend as they face off against Wisconsin. The Badgers are ranked last in the Big Ten, and the Nittany Lions helped put them there with a 2-game sweep earlier this season. Despite a struggling Wisconsin team, head coach Guy Godowski thinks they've been improving the past few weeks and is preparing his team accordingly.
Obviously, they're very young but very talented, and their learning curve is very steep, and I think they're a much different team this week than they were in October and back when we played them, I think in December or whatever it was. So I think you're going to see a much different team. I hope that we're a lot better team as well.
Tonight's game is a whiteout, and face-off is at 6:30. They play again tomorrow. Penn State's men's track and field is off to a strong start and ranked 5th in the nation. 2 athletes in particular have found early success this season. Reporter Gabrielle Chappelle has the story.
Senior triple jumpers Steve Waite and Brian Leap have already made impressive bounds in the national rankings this season. Waite ranks 4th, where Leap is closely trailing in 7th. The duo stays competitive, but at the end of the day, they're teammates.
Well, honestly, I think we collaborate to beat everybody else up. I know in practice we go at each other, but when we reach the meet, I'm louder for him than I am for myself.
So what exactly is triple jump? Well, a lot of people would describe it as a hop, skip, and a jump. But believe it or not, there's a lot more to it than that.
Power ballet. No, I don't know. It's definitely one of the more technical events. It takes a lot of power, but speed as well.
The duo was looking forward to continuing their success this season and have high hopes of being first-team All-American. And with a name like Leap, that seems pretty likely.
All my life, everyone you get at any new meet, oh, great name for a jumper, Leap. And it kind of gets old, but it's fun at the same time.
I've actually never called him Brian. I just call him Leaper.
To catch these 2 top 10 nationally ranked triple jumpers in action, be sure to visit the Penn State Multi-Sport Complex this weekend. For the Center County Report, I'm Gabrielle Chappelle.
That's all for sports. I'm Josiah Bates, and we'll be right back.
Former Penn State football star Devin Still and daughter Leah are now published authors. The father-daughter team wrote a children's book called I Am Leah Strong. It's meant to give strength and hope to kids fighting cancer. There's also advice on the transition from normal life to hospital stays. The book goes on sale later this month as Leah continues her battle with neuroblastoma.
What a great story that is. Finally, some good news for that family.
I know, Leah's so young and an inspiration to us all.
Well, that's all for today's Center County Report. For more, visit our website, centercountyreport.com.
You can also follow us for breaking news anytime on Twitter @CenterCountyREP and on Facebook. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.